Am I the asshole for not letting my niece stay with my daughter? I, 50 have a daughter, 19 female, who goes to school in the Northeast. She lives in a condo me and my wife, her mom, own rent-free during most of the school year, while my son, 17 will be starting college this year in state. My sister's kid, 18 accepted an offer a while ago to go to school in the same state and area as my daughter. They live in the South, so it's a bit of a change. My sister asked me a couple days ago if I'd be okay with the possibility of her daughter moving in with my daughter at the condo. I don't live there, so I said I'd get back to her. Then she stared TD with the whys and wanting to know more. I told her I just wanted to ask the person who actually lives there how she'd feel about it, and she started pulling the "well, you own it" statements, which made me believe that she was hoping for an immediate yes. I expressed that, and that turned into a dispute, back and forth over the issue. We didn't go on for too long, and we seemed to leave things a bit rocky, so I'm posting here to see if I'm what this sub calls the asshole. Not the asshole. Your daughter should absolutely have some say about who she's going to be living with. Does she have a roommate already that she gets along with fine and wants to continue with? Or maybe the unit is a studio where she'd have to share 100% of the living space? There are a lot of reasons why it would be inappropriate to suddenly dump a new person on her without asking first. Not the asshole. Seems like your sister is counting on that free rent for their child, with no consideration for your daughter or your relationship with your daughter. To force your daughter to have her cousin as a roommate with no discussion would have been incredibly inconsiderate. You did the right thing. Not the asshole. That's a big decision. The relationship dynamics could affect your daughter's studies. And it's more liability for you, especially with you not being in residence. You asked for time to think about an idea you hadn't considered previously, which is incredibly reasonable. Personally, being pushy and not giving time to consider it would turn a "let me think about it" into a "no." Your sister seems to feel entitled to the condo's use, but you are in no way obligated to share it. Not the asshole, and your sister's actions would make me say no immediately because she isn't respecting you or your daughter, and that would continue. Unless you know your niece well and have high levels of trust in her, it definitely is fine to say no regardless of what your daughter says. Just for context, my mom let her nephew live with her while studying, which worked well, but not his sister because she didn't feel that they would work together. Not the asshole. For me, as soon as she started being pushy, a possible maybe would turn to a hard no. You're not the asshole. Your sister is a presumptuous for assuming her kid was guaranteed a place to live just because you own a condo where she is going to school, then giving you pushback for planning to consult your daughter on whether she wants her cousin as a housemate. Rhetorical question. How much rent did your sister offer to pay? Am I the asshole for not letting my co-worker test drive my wife's new car? Context: hello, me, 31 and my wife, 30 decided that we might try to start a family of our own after landing stable jobs and buying our first house together. During this, I asked my wife if she could get her license. She never bothered as she lived in Boston before meeting and marrying me, as I couldn't ferry our family everywhere and try get to work. So, I got my wife a old beater and gave her some driving lessons along with a driving instructor, and she passed. She was happy with driving the car I got her, but I thought I should treat her. Up till now I drove a 2011 Civic as a family. Neither of us have ever had a new car. So I put together some of my savings and bought her a brand new Mercedes A220, which she loved. Now let's get to the main bit of this. About a month after getting the Merc, my car, the Civic, decided to give up the ghost. When I took it to the repair shop, they said it had various issues, including wiring issues causing it to stop supplying power to the engine randomly. My wife told me to take her car to work that day, so I took, and as I parked up in the lot, a co-worker, let's call him X, came up to me from his car. He started asking about the car and asked the price and where my Honda went. When I started telling him what happened to my car, he cut me off midway through and asked if he could test the car. At which point I told him it was my wife's and that I would like to keep it pristine for her. He gave me a bit off a look and stormed into the office block. As I walked up, I got a few weird looks, and when I sat down next to my work buddy, he said that X told everyone in the office that I am a hole and that I have changed into a snob after getting a new car. I don't understand what I did wrong other than maybe not letting him drive the car. It would help if someone could give me some light on this. Thank you. Not the asshole. You'd be the asshole if you let him drive your wife's car without her permission, and I'd never give permission to someone who just wants to drive a cool car. He can go to a dealership like anyone else. Give the kind of car it is and the kind of person he appears to be. I'm not betting that he'll drive with due care and attention. It's easy to misjudge a car like that even when you are. Plus, he might not be insured, and he certainly wouldn't pay for any increase in insurance even if he were. If someone came to me and said, "Op is a meanie for not letting me drive his wife's car," I'd tell them good for Op. You won't drive mine, either. Consider giving HR a heads up on this. Not the asshole. If he wants to test drive it, he can go to a dealership. He doesn't need to drive your wife's new car. If this continues, I'd report him for harassment to our. He shouldn't be talking crap behind your back at work because he asked a yes, no answer and didn't like the answer you gave. He's creating a hostile work environment because you don't want to let someone else drive something that isn't yours. You know, like a human with empathy has, not someone who thinks just because he asked you have to do whatever he wants. Not the asshole. What a weird request. I would never dare ask even a close friend to test their car. Let alone some coworker when the car is not even officially yours. AITA. If he has an accident while testing your car, would he contribute to fixing it? Are you willing to risk it? I don't really care. No one takes better care of your stuff than you. Not the asshole. My car's a decade old at this point and I only let my wife drive it. Plus, in the very unlikely event something happened, it would be an insurance nightmare for you since your coworker wouldn't be a covered driver. Not the asshole. No random person is driving my car, whether it's a shitbox or a Lamborghini. That's an out-of-bounds request even if it was your car. What the hell? Go to a dealership and ask them WHO has the insurance for that. Am I the asshole for making a big deal about leaving my IL's family reunion? I'm 27 male, married to my wife Emma, 25 female, and 3 weeks ago her family decided to have a family reunion. While we were there, Emma's Sil, Cam, who is married to the youngest of her brothers, confessed to me that my ILs had gone behind my back and made contact with the half-siblings I had never met and told them about my existence. Cam said she was sorry to break the news to me there, but she was worried they had more stuff planned and it could happen at the family reunion. She also admitted the attempt by her husband and the rest of my ILs had gone significant other far south and so wrong and they mostly just ignored it. I was pissed. Emma was furious when I filled her in. She also kept apologizing to me about her family and their actions. She never expected this from her family and felt so bad that I had opened up to them, for them to betray me, us like that. It's already a sensitive subject. I am an affair baby. My parents were both married. Mom's life collapsed around her when she got pregnant with me. My father was able to stop most of his family finding out, but his wife found out. And that was only because when I was 2 my mom died and I was placed in foster care and my biological father was found and reached out to about taking me. I was made aware years later he and his wife stayed together and their kids were never told I existed. My mom's parents and siblings didn't want me, because I was sin in their eyes. Her other children didn't want me because I was an affair baby and mom had no friends to take me either. I grew up in foster care. Got told way too much by social workers regarding how unwanted I was and my status as affair baby. I reached out to my bio father after leaving foster care at 18 and got told by his wife that I was a stain on their family and to go fuck off and die because I would not ruin her family with my disgusting ass. My ILs knew about this. I told them after getting closer to them while Emma and I were engaged. At the time it felt freeing. But they went behind my back and did this. I had told them I had no plans to ever try and make contact. They did it anyway, and once my half-siblings believed them, they made their feelings very clear and the hatred was well stated. I saw DMs thanks to Cam, but those came later. Emma went to confront her parents and siblings and they were so dismissive of what they had done and were blaming Cam for telling me. I told them she had more decency than them, and did they realize what they had done? They said I should appreciate them doing me a kindness and it was too much for me, so I told them I was fucking done and I was getting out of there because I couldn't be around them anymore. I was pissed. I might have been louder than I should have been with others around. Emma told them not to call us and followed me out. They called. They complained.
They said I shouldn't have made such a big deal about leaving the reunion and I had showed us all up.
Am I the asshole? Not the asshole.
You had clearly stated your intention not to contact them, yet they anyways went and contact our half-siblings, which I imagine puts pressure on making contact. That is a breaching of trust. But even if you did want to speak to our half-siblings, that is your call to make.
Your in-laws are in no way a part of our situation with our bio family and had absolutely zero business in meddling in it. No, not the asshole.
They've massively overstepped in something so personal and delicate, and you found out in a very public way.
I can't fault the strength of your reaction.
To squeeze as much credit for them as possible, they've entirely missed the socially and ethically correct way to hold what you disclosed, and they therefore needed a very clear and tangible reaction to help them to understand why their actions were significant other wrong. But I don't think they were thinking about you enough in this, ironically, given that this was your situation to manage.
So sorry, Op. I'd feel hurt too. Jesus wept. I am adopted, also an affair baby. I would have gone nuclear.
That's no contact for me, for sure. When I first met one of my half-brothers, father was married, my mother was not. He straight up said to me this would be his only meeting with me and he didn't want to know me.
It was very awkward. I have not had much contact with all but one of my paternal siblings. He is fabulous. My mom never had more bio children, she adopted 2 boys.
They are great.
But it's so complicated.
I am a mess because of it all.
I feel like there must be some info missing here. I just don't understand what the in-laws were trying to do, other than trying to hurt Op. Not the asshole either way. Not the asshole. I think your reaction was to be expected. You were very betrayed.
Glad your wife is on your side.
You and your wife need to ask yourself, how did they get this information? They did a really thorough background check on you.
They are extra sketchy.
Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for leaving my mom on her birthday because she wouldn't stop talking about my half-siblings? My mom turned 60 last week and I took her out to dinner to celebrate.
It was her, me, 21 female, my girlfriend, 22 female, and my mom's best friend.
I also spent most of that day with her and we went shopping, etc.
During dinner she talked about how my half-siblings should have come. I told her she had the option to invite them if she wanted them there, but I couldn't and wouldn't make contact with them. Couldn't, because I have no contact info for them and we are not social media friends.
Wouldn't because they have been very clear they want no contact with me. To explain why.
My mom was happily married to my half-sibling's dad and they were a happy family. Then he died.
My half-siblings were 12 and under at the time. Mom ended up in a cycle of quick marriages that ended just as fast, and almost 5 years later I was born from one of the failed marriages. My half-siblings didn't see me as a sibling or as a member of their family.
They view me, have always viewed me, as an accident. As someone who should ever have existed. They did not want me to exist.
They did not want another reminder that their dad was gone and mom was throwing herself at all kinds of men.
They wanted a neater family, where all the siblings had the same 2 parents.
Me sharing only mom was less neat, it was more complicated. I didn't have much to do with the oldest. He stopped coming around once the other 2 moved out of the house. But before that he'd come and he ignored me. I got used to it. The other 2 were close to each other and because of the age gap too, I was the outsider. It was rough being on the outside when I was small. And mom was never very stable or steady. According to mom's best friend, the death of her husband was always going to be the death of the woman and mom she was. She loved him and she found she never loved or found happiness after him.
Each new husband was a distraction at best.
The contact with my half-siblings lessened so much over time. They are not very close to mom either.
But they check in on her from time to time. They speak to her occasionally. They send cards and stuff for birthdays and Christmas, for her though and not me.
I attempted to make contact when I moved out by sending a follow request on social media, but they never accepted.
That was it. So back to the birthday dinner. I had told mom ahead of time and told her if she wanted my half-siblings there, she'd need to invite them herself.
She didn't.
Then during dinner she kept saying how I should reach out, how we should be close, I should have invited them and all kinds of stuff like that. I told her they wanted nothing to do with me and could she please drop it.
She kept pushing, and especially on the topic of my relationship with them.
We all tried to change the subject.
When she wouldn't let it go, my girlfriend and I left early, without finishing, because I was done. My mom was crying down the phone to me the next day and the day after that, asking how I could leave her. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. My mom was crying down the phone to me the next day and the day after that, asking how I could leave her. She repeatedly harassed you when told not to. Instead of enjoying what you were doing for her, she decided to make it about something else. Not the asshole. She wasn't just talking about your half-siblings. She was repeatedly pressuring you to try to get you to pressure your half-siblings into a connection. They've been clear that they don't want that, so she's welcome to talk to them about it, but she needs to stop pushing you. You didn't walk out when she started on it again. It took several times of trying to change the subject and get her to leave off the pressure. Also, it sounds like you didn't even leave her alone. She was still with her best friend.
Maybe she'll learn from this, but it sounds like probably not.
I'm sorry. I hope you can make your own happy family going forward. Not the asshole.
Her eldest children are LC with her. Why should she push you, the unaccepted one, to make things work with people who don't want to? Time to set some boundaries, dear. She was a poor mother to you because she never tried to make your siblings to accept you, and she is a poor mother now for implying it's your fault. Don't let her guilt trip you.
Big hugs. Everyone sucks here except for you. I'm astonished you care enough to do something kind for her birthday. She's lucky to have you. Not the asshole your mom is, though. Your mother's actions after the death of her husband probably caused them to band together and kept everyone else out. She has no one to blame but herself.